Welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys, sponsored by Checker. Background screens for your faith or volunteer organization. The Church Safety Guys is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to inspire, influence, and impact church safety and security teams. We are protectors, guardians, ambassadors, and shepherds. We are about all things church safety and security, which starts with a ministry mindset and a servant's heart. Join us for the next hour as the Church Safety Guys unpack safety, security, leadership, and ministry operations with your hosts, James McGarvey and Mike Scully. This broadcast is also available on social media, YouTube, your favorite podcast platforms, and on the all-new Church Security app.
Well, hello and welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys. I am James, and I am joined on this broadcast by my co-host and fellow church safety person in crime, Mike Scully. And you have your mic on mute. There you go.
What's up, Doc?
Well, now it's getting normal. So I'm expecting some witty, crazy comment. How are you doing?
Good. Busy week, and just plowing away for the next week and the next thing and the next ministry and the next phone call. It's like before you know it, it's all of a sudden April.
Yeah, no kidding. It feels like we went through March a little bit faster. For sure. But we still have a couple days left, and then we can shift gears, and then we'll have 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then we'll be in Florida and enjoying the hot sun. And
speaking of that is 4 days left on the early bird opportunity to get tickets for the conference, and you are entered to win 4 extra chances for the crossbreed package. So that's a holster and I think a couple other things that they gave.
Yeah, they gave a package for a holster, matching mag holder, like a two mag holster, and then
Nice.
Also a belt, gun belt, EDC belt. So for sure, it's definitely a great opportunity. You can pick up tickets at churchsafetyconference.com, or you can go visit us on our website at churchsafetyguys.com, and then go over to the training. And if you click on the training link at the top of the page, a drop down will show you events and conferences, and you're welcome to get more information that way. And you can also download flyers. We put flyers on there now. So if you need to pass one out at your church or to someone else, you can download the PDF and have access to that. And we've got a couple other events coming up that are also on our website. One is actually this week, coming up on Thursday up in Michigan. And that is the one-day church safety conference sponsored by the Grand Rapids PD. And that is actually going to be at the New Hope Baptist Church, 130 Delaware Southwest in Grand Rapids. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. And then we also have April 20th, we have a child protection panel lunch, and that's going to be down in Louisville, Kentucky. And that is actually something new, a new organization that we're doing a lot with, and that's the Evangelical Council for Abuse Prevention. And they have an activity, and you can find out more information on our website. But they're a great group of individuals, and really have a great deal of resources for protecting children and keeping kids safe in churches and places of worship. And so we're really happy that we've had the opportunity to meet up with them, and they're going to be at the Church Security Essentials Conference in Orlando as well. They'll be joining us and have a little segment that they can talk about their ministry. And I think, I think next week we're kind of ramping up for Easter, actually, because we've got 2 more weeks before Easter. So I believe next week our topic, actually, we're going to have we call them ECAP, but we're going to have ECAP on. We're going to be talking specifically about keeping your children's ministry safe and secure. And then the following week, we're actually going to talk about prepping your team for Easter and specifically cover the practical and spiritual implications of that, of trying to prepare for Easter. So really looking forward to it. We've got a great couple of weeks lined up, and then Easter, and then before you know it, the month of April will be gone. So crazy stuff. But
free training. Yep.
But as always, if this is your first time joining us, thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome. You can always visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com for more information and some great resources for you and your team. And if you're watching this at a later time on YouTube or one of the podcast streaming platforms, feel free to click like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or there's ever anything that we can help you with, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to help where we can. So, but without further eloquence, I will bring in our illustrious guest for this evening, and we'll add him to the mix. So, hey, John.
Good evening, everybody. Hi.
What is it?
I know you've never been on
offender?
Yeah. I was going to say, I know you've never been on our show before. But...
Right. Hey, let me just say real quick, I'm really excited about you guys going to Orlando, this conference in Orlando. I'm really excited about that for you guys. What an amazing opportunity, fellowship, blessing, and just meeting people and so on. I'm really excited for you guys, really.
Well, thanks. It's, it's not honestly what we anticipated, I guess. For us, it's kind of like, we were talking about having a conference, and then just some things opened up, and thankfully, we've got some great sponsors that have stepped in, because you travel a lot with your team, and you know how expensive it gets to to try and move speakers and move people, and a lot of times we're thankful that we've gotten the expenses covered so that we can help churches. And a lot of times, we'll waive ticket prices and try and help churches get there. And what's interesting is that, we can't always do that, right? Because we've got to cover all those expenses. And sometimes it gets a little crazy with travel expenses. And we actually saw, just for us trying to get plane tickets down there, because of the fuel situation in the last month, with the situation going on with Ukraine and Russia, we saw a 40% increase in airfare, and that wasn't planned. So all of a sudden, we're looking at, okay, this is an unplanned expense.
As you may know, the team and I are going to be in Dayton, Ohio, working with the church coming up here in the first weekend in spring, in April. Looking forward to that. But since that quote and that bid and that payment was made, prices for the hotel rooms and gas and all that shot up. Yeah, I've had a couple other potential clients and customers reach out to me, and I've sent them estimates, and I said, hey, this is going to be good for like the end of May, because these prices keep changing and so on, and it's crazy. The team and I have yet to go west of the Mississippi River, and with the cost of airfare and stuff like that, I don't know if and when that's going to happen anytime soon. Now, I continue to believe the Lord will continue to open doors as we continue to see. So, never say never, right? I could get off the show tonight and get an email from someone in Portland, Oregon saying, hey, let's just do this. So, but yeah, I'm really excited for you guys, and yeah, with everything going on, the ripple effect is affecting travel and so on. But the fact that you guys are going to be able to make it and so on, that's really exciting.
Well, they definitely, it'll be interesting for sure. They just had actually about 20 minutes from where we're doing the conference. There was a mosque down there, and they were in the news, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, that they had an armed invader. And it ended up when the mosque itself wasn't occupied, there was a maintenance person, but that maintenance person ended up passing away. And that's probably 20 minutes from where we're doing the conference. So, we've had a number of churches in Central Florida reach out to us already and say, hey, we appreciate the fact that you guys are coming down here, and how can we be involved in that sort of thing. So I think it'll be good. And next year, I mean, we're looking at trying to do one of these, hopefully, Lord willing, maybe once a year. And next year we're still up in the air, although the stars at night are big and bright.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
So I think Mike keeps dropping subtle hints that he's like, hey, there's a church in Austin.
Right.
So, and I'm like, I hear you guys have like freak tornadoes and snowstorms. So I don't know that I'm coming down there.
Right.
But
5 miles away on Monday. It was pretty close.
Goodness.
Probably a lot of
Wow.
people have seen Round Rock on the news
Yeah.
this past week. That's where I live. So it's we were blessed. We ended up in our master closet for a good 10 minutes or so and hunkered down with the kids and the weather radio and all our preparedness. But got a little scary there for a bit, but praying now this week for a lot of the folks that there were 350 to 400 homes that were wiped out over the past during that
Wow.
week. So
Wow.
there's a lot of cleanup and a lot of long road ahead for them.
I don't remember this much dramatic weather there in Texas when I was at Fort Hood in the early to mid 90s. I do remember an ice storm, freezing rain. So that was about the gist of it. That shut down the entire state. No one is ready for that. So
well, they don't have any equipment. I mean,
no,
they
exactly.
don't actually have that sort of equipment. So
wow.
I remember, what was it last year that you guys had the freak weather, the cold weather snap?
Yep.
It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I remember teasing you because I'm like, you guys went from Massachusetts down to the sand playground there,
and then we ended up having ice, and we needed ice picks and heaters. And I mean, we lost power for a little bit, but we're on a grid with a hospital, so we tend to get our power back pretty quickly, and most of our utilities are underground, at least in the neighborhood. So we're usually in a pretty good shape here.
Wow, good.
For sure. So let's jump into it. I know before we start talking about Easter, John, you wanted to talk a little bit about the conference coming up this week, and we're both going to be at the New Hope Baptist Church on Thursday, and I have the opportunity to come up on Wednesday and do some church visits and visit your church. But really looking forward to that conference. If you're listening and you're interested, it is free. But you do have to register. And it is actually being sponsored very graciously by Grand Rapids PD, and they're having John and I come in for a few 2 of the 3 or 4 speakers that they have, but
Mhm.
really looking forward to that. I guess they've had a big response from the community, and quite a few folks register already.
Yeah, there's quite a handful. This will be the first time GRPD, my former colleagues and all that have put something this to get together. Julie Nemechek is the crime prevention coordinator with the Grand Rapids Police Department, and liaises with, is that the right word? Liaisons with the community, neighborhood watch groups, and so on. And excuse me. A lot of churches have been reaching out to her, and with everything going on, not necessarily at churches, but just the general feeling of just people being loud, rude, and obnoxious everywhere, and the ripple effect is carrying over to church. And a lot of churches have reached out to her and said, "Hey, we'd really like to have some type of church safety security conference, some type of gathering." So she reached out to me. I got you on board.
Sure.
And I said, this is what we need to do, and I'm really excited for her. This is her first conference, and hopefully the first of many more to come. I think this is an important issue, so it's an opportunity for us to reach out to the several inner city churches there in Grand Rapids, and I'll cover some de-escalation stuff, and you'll cover the church safety guys stuff. Friend of mine, Mark Garner with Absolute Security Group, will talk about some weapons training and so on, and then closing arguments will be from a former colleague of mine, now a captain. I believe it's going to be Mike Maycroft with the Grand Rapids Police. Have some closing comments about what the police would most likely do during a response to a situation at the church, what would probably be best practice, and how to handle and receive incoming police officers, and so on. So I'm sure they'll be covering that at length. It's not a big, long, drawn-out conference, as you know, but I think it's to the point, quick. I think it's going to be very, very informative, and there's a free lunch. So
yeah, you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
No. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Julie. I'm excited that my departments have an opportunity to kind of do something like this also for the community. And I'm just excited to be part of it also. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
for sure. I'm looking forward to meeting Mark, and I think that'll be great. We may try and have him at a later time on the broadcast too, if we can coordinate stuff, because I think he's got a great mindset for training and keeping it a ministry and ministry focused. And I'm glad for the opportunity, as much as I'm sure my fellow Ohioans despise. I love when I get a chance to go up to Michigan. I do. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I like Grand Rapids. I like the churches around there. They're always very welcoming and friendly. I say that now, and I'll, there's probably a church that's listening that's like, you like friendly? We're gonna take care of you, Buckeye.
All right.
So,
ministry mindset, folks. Ministry mindset.
Right.
Well, I'm jealous you guys get to go hang out in Michigan. Certainly, that's where my wife's family is from, and you guys will have a good day, I'm sure. It's a great model. I think I'd love to be able to share results from that day with other police departments, because I think there's obviously a need. I think there's not as many police departments that are exclusively looking at impacts to places of worship. They're looking at certainly active shooter for sure, as well as many other impacts, but they're not as involved from a church perspective. So I think it'd be good to be able to share, hey, look at this example of a police department that has actually taken on this topic and worked with others in the community, with other speakers like church safety guys like you, John. And I think that's where putting together that total package, that total option for a short but very important look at the response and the other sorts of things in their community.
That's right. Because our department has several community outreach programs. One of the newest ones, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I'm actually at the tail end of learning how to be a driver's ed instructor. I am. The Grand Rapids Police Department has this new program, Drive for Success, put on by one of my best friends, who good for him, gets to retire in a couple months. He put this program together, and the idea is to teach inner city kids how to drive, and we're going to help them get their driver's license. And so community outreach isn't just programs like that. It also includes reaching out and being part of the churches. So you're right, Mike. This is a great opportunity for our department, and other departments, I think, ought to take a look at it and see where they could connect with the churches in their areas. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it's interesting too. I know down here in Columbus, there are a few departments that certainly aren't as big as Grand Rapids. They're, suburb departments of Columbus, but they've reached out, and I've had the opportunity to talk to them several times about how to handle certain things with churches or synagogues or that sort of thing, and so any department is very wise to do that right now, just because of trying to get into that that area of the culture and climate and that sort of thing. So from that standpoint, when that church or rather when that department reaches out, it's interesting, because a lot of times the question I get is, well, how do I best, help them out? And it's like, well, really just be yourself. Like a church or place of worship is the same as anybody else. They might have some dynamics, but as a first responder, yes, there are certain things that you should be aware of, and with culture and climate. But
you remind me of an incident, if I could. You remind me of an incident, because if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget. I apologize. An incident happened about maybe 8 years ago or so at a church where the police entered or tried to enter the building, and they were told they were not welcome on the property. And this is when many years ago I was a member of some other church security forum, and it was after I saw the response of some of the people there, I decided that group was not for me. But there were a lot of people who really very firmly said that if the police do not have a search warrant, they are not coming into the building. They will take care of it themselves, whatever the situation is. And that was just one of the attitudes and comments I saw. There was a lot of very anti-police, anti-law enforcement comments. And I remember being, wow, this is supposed to be a church security group.
Sounds like Minneapolis or Austin.
I don't remember where the incident was, but the added, and it was not a well-regulated forum and so on, but it was very anti-law enforcement, the attitude and demeanor. And this is why it's so important that the police do reach out to their area churches and talk about, hey, if we have to respond to a situation, this is how we're rolling. This is how we're coming. So be prepared for it. Hey, nothing personal. It's just business. If I throw you to the ground and all that, it's just a momentary discomfort while we're trying to sort it out. And it does not help. And in this incident, it was the pastor that refused to allow the law enforcement to come on. They were investigating something. There was a reason for them to be there, but it really made things difficult. Very unfortunate. So anyway, it's absolutely critical that the community, especially churches like this, who could face an active shooter situation or someone creating disturbance during service, need to be able to have a good working relationship with law enforcement, all first responders, quite frankly, EMS, fire, for crying out loud. So
for sure.
As a director of a security team, I mean, realistically, you should be reaching out to find out who's your patrol. In other words, what's the different shifts that typically, or who's the different officers that have your area? Talk to a district supervisor or sergeant. Try to identify who kind of potentially owns your shift. Who are you likely to deal with from a leadership perspective, from a patrol perspective, and engage them. We've talked about it on the show before about different ways to engage them, but I think it's most important that conversation is continual. Also be aware that the fact that, people don't stay in the same role all the time. Many big city departments, they will rotate and move
That's true.
people, not only shifts, but areas of responsibility. And so, you know what? That person that you built a relationship with just changed. When was the last time you actually talked to him? So this
Yep.
needs to be almost quarterly, I would recommend.
And if that, if not much more than that, but also another good point I want to point out is that the people who work night shift, unless you come in at night to reach out to them, you may never run into them. And so if you have an event at night or anything like that, it would be a good idea to come in the evening and make contact and get a feel for who's who in the evening also, not just during the daytime. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and we had actually in December, I think it was, we had a situation where an individual broke into our church, and he went and I think fell asleep under our baptistry.
Wow.
And he was woken up at about, I want to say, midnight, by our tech guy. Like, our tech guy was getting ready for the next day for the service, and happened to walk in the room, in a pitch black room, turn the lights on, and here's a guy laying there, on the ground, and startled both of them, right?
Wow.
Woke them up. And he called me, and he's like, I need some help. So I responded, and went over there. And what we found, when I got there and I started talking to him on my way, I called, Columbus police, and I said, can you have an officer come out and meet me? I don't know what's going on, but this gentleman is being a little combative, and I'd like an officer. And so they're like, absolutely, we've got some responding. Well, I didn't recognize the officers when they arrived, and they actually told me later that there had been a big shooting actually in our precinct. And so they were actually from the next precinct over.
Wow.
And it was I guess it was like an all hands call. I'm not sure what the dispatcher said, but we ended up getting 4 officers from the next precinct over that came, because they're like, hey, everybody's tied up with what's going on. And you said this was combative and a break-in, so we were concerned. And I mean, I felt very blessed that they took it seriously. But to Mike's point with changing, if your precinct happens to be, or your church happens to be close to that precinct line, you can get a response from multiple departments. I mean, we live in an area, or our church is in an area, where we technically could get a response from the county sheriff, township police, or Columbus. So having 3 different departments, that's a lot of work to reach out and say, hey, who's who generally covers from the county. But it pays dividends in the long run, because we almost every night will have some police department represented in our parking lot, because they love us. They'll come hang out, they'll do paperwork, they'll just sit there with the cruiser. And that's the type of thing that you can't put a price tag on that, because, and they know, like, we've several of the officers, we've spread the word, if you need a cup of coffee or you need to use the restroom, come on in, you don't have to ask, just welcome.
Because they're aware of how critically important a visual deterrence is.
Sure.
Right. Let me just also say real quick, that scenario that you had, that is in fact one of the scenarios my team and I recreate and simulate, because I'm aware of several incidences like that in the West Michigan area that became high profile cases because they were inadvertently escalated by church personnel. So folks who are watching and listening to this, whether tonight or at some other time, start wargaming in your head right now how you are going to react and respond in a situation like this, and avoid saying or doing something that actually escalates that situation. A little nugget for you.
For sure. For sure.
And so,
Mike,
so if there's anyone from the church and that we're going to be at coming up here in Dayton, coming up, they're watching tonight. I'm giving you a clue that's one of the scenarios you're going to be facing coming up in a week or so.
Actually, yeah, that's that is a church in Springboro,
Yes.
right outside of Dayton, and
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll
Yep.
say this, and then we'll jump to a quick break because John's bringing his team down, and he invited me to come hang out with him for the day. So for the first time in 2 years is it that we've known each other? I get the opportunity to go watch his team in action and see how they do things. And I'm just tickled pink looking forward to
you get to see the magic happen, my friend.
Nice.
Yes.
So
just a tiny bit jealous over here.
Right. Your turn is coming, my friend. I fully believe and expect my team and I will be in Texas, maybe at your church.
It's over the Mississippi, and you know what?
There you
I've
go.
planted the seeds multiple times, talking with folks in the area where there is talks. Trying to get a few churches together and see if maybe we can do that.
That'll work.
That's the way to do it if you can. But I don't know of a better way, honestly, to facilitate that, to have John and his team come out. And really, I mean, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to him through his website, and they will definitely work as much as possible to help you navigate the cost and everything else. But it's definitely, I mean, it's definitely worth it, and it's definitely a benefit. And you don't have to, I'll throw this out there too. You don't have to just have security folks there. And that's one thing that I've said several times to different churches is have your deacons or your ushers there, your first impression folks, your Sunday school workers,
and office admin staff.
The folks that are there during the day, during the week when everything else is shut down, because people that do visitation house, there's still churches out there where the pastor will go out and visit a new house or somebody that came to the church the past week. Those are all folks that would benefit from having the opportunity. And it's not just lecture, it's hands-on, interaction where you don't know what, his team could be violent. They could be, no, I'm joking.
This is not a physical contact exercise, folks.
But the cool thing is, I talk to churches often where they'll say, well, we watched a de-escalation video, and it's like, well, that's great, you watched a video, but what you guys do is different, and what you guys do is hands-on interaction and scenarios and role playing, and that's the type of thing you can't get that from a video. You have to get that from individuals that are highly skilled in the field and understand what a typical response would be with that scenario. I mean, you have actors and folks that play out very, very well, probably too good.
I do get a lot of. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say is when you have somebody who ends up in a fetal position in the bathroom, because they're not quite sure how to handle it, and they're like, it really puts that stress inoculation, that real world scenario, because we all watch YouTube videos, we all watch different trainings and things that are out there until we're blue in the face. But at the same point, yes, you can learn and pick up gold nuggets from video. But at the same point, there's that real world that get your heart pumping, get that heart racing. Hopefully you don't cross that threshold where you literally just freeze, because you really got to understand in the heat of the moment, how am I going to respond? In these scenarios, what are my options? And honestly, your option there is to learn. Because even if you do it wrong, you're not going to do it wrong next time, because it's going to be burned into you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
For sure. And that'll definitely be me in Dayton, April. I'll be under the counter,
curled up.
I'll be in the bathroom in the fetal position, and John will be walking through. It'll be like, James, where are you? I'm in here.
Oh,
but
Lord.
it's good stuff though, and people are always scared. It's funny, people are scared of what they don't know, right? And so it's very intimidating. Like the first time I did an exercise of de-escalation, it was very similar to what you guys do with scenarios and not knowing the unknown of variables with the person acting. And what was interesting to me is it's intimidating. Like if you're not comfortable and that's out of your comfort zone, going up to someone that you don't know how they're going to respond or react, it is intimidating for people. And what I love about you guys is that it takes the intimidation out of it, because the only way that you can get better at it is to do it, right?
Stress inoculation. Yes.
Yeah. And to get yourself to the point of, what, if I practice this and I go through 5 or 6 scenarios, that's a great start. And then I'm used to this. I'm not scared of the unknown anymore.
Yep.
And so it's definitely worthwhile. And I'm looking forward to April, because I think that'll be a lot of
you're going to have fun. You may come away with some more gray hair, but you're going to have a good time.
I'll be like, that is the last time I'm doing anything ever again with you, John. But anyhow, we should take a quick sponsor break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about de-escalation and Easter, and we'll jump down that topic. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With over 50 years of experience with religious and nonprofit organizations, Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates understands that your congregation is different from a traditional business. We're here to fulfill your needs, coming to you while creating a personal plan for your budget and size. From your local community to around the globe, we are advocates for you. Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates, your partner in service.
What if there was a program so uniquely structured that it would help you protect your congregation and, at the same time, help you develop best practices to grow your ministry and be impactful in your community? What if there was a biblical resource that would offer thousands of hours of training and experience to guide you in keeping your ministry safe and secure and being prepared for the unexpected? What if you could have the collective instruction from public safety and security experts from all over the world at your disposal to help you with a biblical view of safety and security? Impossible, you say? Unlikely? It would be unheard of for someone to create something like that. We just did. Introducing the new biblically based 1-year certificate and associate's degree program in church safety and security. Developed by the Church Safety Guys and Centurion Bible College, this program is designed to give you the best of everything possible. Learn on your schedule, at your convenience, with experienced industry leaders, and receive college credit for it. Enhance your learning on protecting your ministry and community today. For more information, visit centurionbc.org or churchsafetyguys.com. Enroll to begin your path of biblical education and learning today.
When you let Checker take care of background checks, you get more time to focus on your ministry. Over 8,000 churches and faith-based communities across the United States use Checker. Checker lets you quickly and easily screen new volunteers, so you'll spend less time on paperwork and administrative tasks. Our fast, accurate background checks reduce turnaround time per applicant by 72% on average. Checker partners with church management systems, including Tithely, Planning Center, Rock RMS, PushPay, and Full Method, so it's easy to integrate into systems you're already using. Trust Checker for faster, easier, more reliable background checks, so you can focus on what brings you all together. To learn more, visit www.checkr.com/church.
We all deal with stress on a daily basis. When not properly managed, we can face burnout, mental, physical, and spiritual burnout. It can be detrimental to serving in church safety and security, as well as other ministries, and affect all areas of life. Coming Back brings biblical guidance for such a dilemma. In the book Coming Back, best-selling author James McGarvey takes a biblical-based approach to address and prevent ministry burnout. As you read Coming Back, you will easily relate to James's shared experiences, be inspired by Scripture, and grow through the practical and applicable instruction found in this much-needed book. This encouraging read will affect you and your team in a positive way to continue the path of ministry with an energized and encouraged spirit. Through biblical and practical knowledge and experience, James shows that it is all about coming back to focus on what matters, coming back to the cross.
The Church Safety Guys help church and place of worship safety and security teams all over North America through our broadcasts, online communities, conferences, trainings, resources, and the all-new Church Security app. Download it today. Help us continue to reach churches by supporting our sponsors, purchasing our resources, and consider becoming a ministry partner by making a monthly or one-time donation. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this broadcast with your team. And now, back to the broadcast.
All right, welcome back to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys. We have John Riley with Gentle Response, De-Escalation, joining us at this time on this broadcast. And I want to jump into, for sake of time, I want to jump into Easter. And I know a lot of churches are already trying to prepare and looking for some best practice ideas to get their team ready for Easter, because typically, you guys know, Easter is one of those holidays where everyone decides the one day a year to go to church. And so usually Easter and Christmas, right, Easter are the two.
Creaster. They're called Creasters, I think. Creasters.
Is it? Yeah. So from that standpoint, Mike, you wanted to, I'll toss it over to you, and we can jump down that rabbit hole of best practices for Easter.
Well, there's a couple of thoughts that I had there. Of course, we've talked about Easter before, but something to just kind of stir the thought process as we get into the topic is understand, of course, you got a lot of people coming that may be there for the first time. They may have never set foot in a church. They may have been invited. It may have been a long time since they've been in church, or it may be the first time it's in their church. All of those have the potential to exhibit behavior of the, hey, where's the bathroom, or where do I belong, or what time is it actually start, and can I get coffee, and where do I drop my kids? So understand there's a lot of folks that are going to have a lot of additional questions and not look like they're regulars. So I think the idea is be prepared for that and understand that every person who has a question isn't a security concern. And then
that's exactly right.
Go ahead, John.
No. I just wanted to say, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I think beyond that, one thought too is thinking from the standpoint that you may have a over-attended service. So you may have multiple services that day, but again, those with kids are going to attend a certain service or another. It may be when you have kids' church offered. So keep in mind that this may be a day that you may have never actually gotten close to your total occupancy number for your fire code. You should be watching that. You should be understanding what that looks like and what you might do should that service have attendance that's too much. And then finally, one I want to throw over to John, is, because I think this is right up your alley from a de-escalation standpoint, is there's a lot of churches that do Easter egg hunts after service. And so it becomes this super competitive. Everyone's kind of rolling up their sleeves and they want their kid to get their egg. And it becomes like a little league fighting match between the the officials and hey, they're not, that's not a strike. So I see that as being Easter being that's a potential cage match right there.
That you have that, but my mind actually initially went to like a church my size, which was one of the larger churches in the West Michigan area. You're going to have a lot of people cramming the area, just like you're saying. Even though we have a high capacity, there's going to be a lot more people there than lately that we've had, and they're likely to become frustrated because of parking and trying to jostle through the crowds. And so there's a lot of, you have a situation here where you might have people that from the time they park the car and walk through the parking lot and get inside the building are now kind of uptight and agitated.
Yep.
And right, exactly. And so this is really critical for church staff, employees, and volunteers to have that bright, happy, welcoming smile on your face, because oftentimes that could be the one little thing that helps make a difference to start bringing that temperature down. Hey, you're here. I'm sorry about what happened in the parking lot, but you're here. You're inside now, warm, safe, and so on. And we're glad you're here. And so that smile is at that door is absolutely critical to start that de-escalation process. You guys remember, I may have made a comment before that there's no such thing as one thing that you can say or do that would just make someone de-escalate. It takes time, but you can start that de-escalation process by having a warm, friendly welcome to them. Because if your ushers and greeters and your door greeters and all that are now getting agitated themselves because of the crowd, the noise, the confusion, well, shoot, that's not necessarily going to help a situation if you kind of smirk, roll your eyes, or bark at someone who's just simply asking where to go to sit in the balcony now or something like that. So be aware, folks, that your friendly smile at the door as they come approach you, and as they're walking to the door, they're already agitated. They're looking at you, standing there holding the door open and watching how you greet other people. And based on that smile or the expression on your face and so on, they can either start to elevate and escalate or start to come down and say, okay, it's going to be okay.
And what's funny is I always love referring back to the story you tell, John, about I think it was from your friend, how he was outside and somebody showed up at your friend's church, and he went over to him and he's like, "Don't park there, park here." And the individual, it was just enough to frustrate him to leave.
Yeah.
And people are. It's interesting. I think. Post-COVID, I think folks have gotten a lot more sensitive and quick-tempered, and I think that when we're working with, especially now with community-based events like egg hunts and different things like that, bringing those folks in, we have to be more patient and we have to be more understanding that mom and maybe mom and dad or the parents have never been there before. It's a great outreach opportunity, but they don't know really what they're doing. A lot of times that can be frustrating. Maybe, they were just yelling at the kids, to straighten up in the car, and they're there for Easter eggs. So it's a tremendous opportunity to minister. And this is really, in a lot of places, this is the first time we've had the opportunity, like at Easter, since COVID, right? To do a bigger activity.
Maybe 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually doing something with the local fire department where we're having bounce houses and different things. And, it's a great opportunity, but just keep in mind that, your smile, your countenance, how you act goes far more beyond how or what you say. Your attitude and your demeanor certainly can make or break that situation. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes to be patient and to be in that type of setting and mindset, but
and that's what it is. It is what it is, and you need to be have that ministry mindset, and expect that you are going to run into people who may be frustrated and impatient. And let's say you're one of the churches that does have the Easter egg hunt after service and all that. Well, what if it's not as organized as you think it is, or it could have been? And that also frustrates some parents who are expecting to have a good time. And now it's your
Sure.
fault they're not having a good time. And you've got to just grin and bear it, folks. Ministry minded. Am I saying it's easy? No, it's not. But you have a better chance of being able to keep that de-escalation process going if you just let them vent, smile through it, and apologize, and see what you can do to work it out, to make it better for them. Because by you letting them vent and looking for an opportunity to make it better for them, you're validating and affirming them that, hey, I recognize you're a parent and you're human and you're upset, and I'm not discounting that you're upset, and I'm here to really make an effort to try to make it better for you. And it's difficult to stay elevated and upset when you have someone genuinely trying to make you feel better. And again, that's all part of that de-escalating process. And I'm not saying it's necessarily easy sometimes, but if you have that ministry mindset, folks, you're more apt to likely succeed. And remember your appearance, smile, body posture, facial expression, things like that.
For sure. I think, and there have been even the best laid plans, right? So when we think about how much work goes into, setting something like that up, there are mistakes inevitably that will happen. So how you problem solve and move out of that is what makes or breaks the memory of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
We did, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we did a Halloween trunk or treat event at our church. And we had hired 2 off-duty officers to help with traffic flow. Well, I don't know how the word got out that we were giving away candy, but I'll tell you, we had cars backed up across, 2 in both directions around our church, probably about 2 city miles, literally.
Wow.
Like we had people coming from all over for candy to walk their kids through. And our parking, I mean, you guys have both seen our church, our parking lot, like we were parking people in the grass, and because we didn't have any parking. And we had we had the police department came, and even though they had officers directing traffic, doing an outstanding job, because we weren't prepared for that volume, officers came and they're like, look, you guys are creating a traffic hazard.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to do something here and address this. But what was always interesting to me, that wasn't expected, but we all were flexible, and we all, and so our interaction with the family, we turned it into, we had folks doing different activities along, the lines of people that were waiting to get into our building. We had several different people, like, clowns walking up, juggling, and doing just different activities with the kids along the way to try and ease some of that, some of the parents' frustration that, hey, we were just going to walk in and get some candy and trunk or treat. And, but how we handled it today, to this day, no, everybody remembers that it was crazy, that there was a lot of people in long lines, but not one person, even in the community, complains about how they were, if they were mistreated, or how it was, how, how long the lines were. They'll say, oh yeah, that was an awesome, that was a fun time. And, so going back to Easter, Mike is right on. I mean, we do see elevated numbers in the buildings, and sometimes, switching services from, if your church has 1 or 2 services, sometimes the crossing of both of those services can get really frustrating. And I think it's important to remember that, and remember that, how you handle that situation, even if it's frustrating, will be long remembered after the actual event. If you have a smile on your face, and if you do the best you can. And, sometimes you can't always do provide 100% outstanding, experiences, but at the same time, putting a smile on your face, even when it's frustrating. And it's frustrating for safety folks too. I mean, I've been out directing traffic, and I've got a whole line of cars, and people are like, hey, can you tell me? And I'm like, just move your car.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And every opportunity in a situation like that is an opportunity to witness and minister and even plant the seed with somebody. And it's
Sure.
done, and it's more effective if you have a smile. Now, if you guys are like me, and you guys, as in everyone who's watching, coming up to Easter, we're still understaffed.
Sure.
And so it's going to be an all hands on deck. And as a matter of fact, I think I did get the email not too long ago asking, hey, who's going to be available to work Friday, Good Friday and all this stuff. And I think I put my name in the hat because I know we need it.
Sure.
And so that is where some frustration may come in also. Well, I wanted to hang out with the family, but now I felt obligated or whatever to come help out. And so just be careful with that, folks. Ministry minded. It's going to be all hands on deck. Especially if you guys are still dealing with short staffing issues like we are, and probably will be for a little while as the world starts kind of swinging back to normal, whatever that is now. Do what you can, help each other out. This is all about working it together as a team, and just keep that smile on your face.
For sure. Mike, we probably should wrap up, but did you
already?
Want to add anything? I know, right?
I know it burns through that whole piece. No, I think we've covered some of the key pieces. Is at the end of the day, they're receiving a message that may also cause them to stir up emotion. So the message that tends to be delivered on Easter especially for those folks that are those creasters or are those folks that may be the first time they're setting foot in church, understand that they may not be right as they're leaving. In other words, they may have some mental indigestion, I like to call it. They may have had things stirred up because now that's food for thought. They're thinking about bigger things, and that's okay. So we have to understand that, them coming out is also that chance to further engage and further solidify that experience, to not just have them be a creaster, but to have them come back.
Yep.
Sure. And I definitely think that's the end goal. I mean, understanding and hopefully, churches and individuals will be more patient again coming out of COVID, and understand that, maybe there's a little latitude with, this is the first time a church has put on a big activity since then. So, maybe if you're listening and you go to a church, be kind. That's as simple as it gets. Be kind to the folks that are putting it on, because they really don't have to. They're doing it out of love for the community and to be involved and to support that community. And the last time that we did a Easter egg hunt in an Easter activity, which I think was last year, we did a scaled back one. We were able to connect with people that really had needs. We were able to introduce them to our food pantry and help them out. And some of them have been great contributors to the church now and to the community. And, they help out and have started coming to the church. So.
And that's what it's all about. So folks out there, start planning now. If you're short-staffed or whatever, start thinking about now how you're going to handle parking lot and crowds and stuff like that. And just start getting into that mindset right now. That's how you properly prepare. No plan stays together upon contact with the enemy is a comment we used to have that I learned in the military. But at least you have a template and a basic game plan to deal with contingencies and situations. So start thinking about it now.
One more quick thought is that you want to perhaps talk to the staff. They can pre-wire your folks, the entire team, or even the folks that they're inviting, and saying, hey guys, understand this is the first time we're doing this in a while. It's coming back after COVID, all those things. The be kind, have patience. If you kind of plant those seeds ahead of time, you may also create that environment where the folks attending have that aha moment and say, oh yeah, give them a little bit of grace. And they'll temper themselves back down as a result.
Excellent.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you. I'd love to go longer, but we're at our 1 hour mark. So so thanks for joining us on the broadcast today, John. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And, definitely looking forward to spending some time with you this week coming up. So
Absolutely.
We will definitely be that'll be a fun time. But
It'll be a good time.
For those of you that have joined us, thanks for watching. And as always, you can visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com for some great resources. And take care. We will see you again next week. God bless. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys, sponsored by Checker. We hope that you found it informative, and we appreciate your feedback. Be sure to share our broadcast with your teams. Join the discussion online, and for other great resources, download the Church Security app or visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com. Remember, keep a servant's heart, a mindset of ministry, and Semper Disciplina. Always be training. Have a blessed week.